Sloshing machine is a medium weight slasher with not quite so medium range. It's actually above medium range. Just the painting pattern. It's like okay, it can paint the flopper zone decently enough when you have to. Actually, even knock out just walking over it because it is this indirect. Indirects, they deal 100 damage in this game. This is new. It has been buffed compared to Splatoon 2, where they just did 80 and needed to hit jumps twice with it. It shows the wall paint as well, but you'd expect it's a line. But only if close enough, as it turns out. And about the fire rate, don't actually worry about having imperfect fire rate. This is intentionally slow right here, and this is actually not how it's supposed to work, no. And do not actually try to time your shots much easier, because what you can do is offer your inputs. Just need to release the R for a bit, and then you can hold the R again, and you're still aiming your shot right as it comes out. So the aim isn't buffered, but the shots themselves are. So it's not too hard to actually have max DPS with this always. This is not a tapper weapon. Like, almost automatic. You could say semi-automatic if you will. And then the direct shot, it's 170 damage. It's a 3-hit on coax, it's a 3-hit on 100 HP bosses. 4-hit on the scrapper shield though. Something that you can also experiment with is try to hit scrappers from the front. Like, you might be very lucky and direct the tail like that. It's sitting stunned in front of you. However, it's really hard to hit that. Hitting the 100 shouldn't be too hard. There's some tech there. You have fun with it. So the other thing I completely forgot to mention is indirect, of course, does not dissolve the bullet, so you can hit stuff with the indirect and then also with the direct after that. Like this. This makes for some really nice combos and DPS optimization. The raw single target DPS of this is rather low. Let me check the number in my notes. 309 actually. So that is slightly under the weaker shooters, if I remember correctly. But that is not what you primarily wanna be doing. You do wanna be hitting multiple targets if you can. Only single target things are just like this primarily. If you get double direct, it's a 2-shot. If you get as much as a single indirect, it's always gonna be a 3-shot. And then 3 indirects would also still be a 3-shot, so 1 indirect, don't worry about the rest, and can still be 1 cycled with 3 shots. You time it correctly. However, still you ideally do want the 2 directs, which of course has much more lenient timing for the 1 cycle. Option is there. Needed. Now let's talk about the numbers of shots needed and timing for them. Bristlers are 6 shots to kill. In order to 1 cycle, you do need to pre-fire the first one before it opens. Then let it fall down into it, and then... Although that might not be true anymore, and... Actually, no, I'm wrong. The numbers work out in the same way, actually. If you do pre-fire, it's a little bit easier, just in case you do mess up your fire rate. Don't be strictly needed. Although you do need to get the first hit in early enough. Timing is still pretty tight. Anyway, you can 1 cycle Dristlers with the main weapon only. Although I still, myself, do have a preference to just do it with a tarp anyway. Since this weapon has so much range, it's also really good at hitting them back, and all you need to do is to yourself with it. You do need to hit them with the damage, you do it. Big shots, there's the funny part that if you hit it with 7 directs, there's only 10 HP left. That is annoying, right? Yeah, that is exactly how it is with these numbers. You need 8 shots to kill a big shot. Only help from a teammate, and then hopefully less shots than 7 as well. That's a fun fact there. Fish sticks are really good for Sloshing Machine. you get like extra perfect aiming and spacing, timing, everything, you can actually two-shot them. Works by aiming inward into the circle from the right. If you fail that, you will usually three-hit them. Again, what you're trying is to hit as many of the flavor rays as possible with indirects. Usually 3, and if you are doing it really well, you can hit 4. Yeah, try to avoid directing any of them, because that will of course eat up the bullet and then you're not them. So that right here. But if I direct the first left right here, still a direct. Not a direct anymore. I'm hitting a 3. Be careful of that. It can of course always randomly happen in live gameplay. Be aware of that, and expect that everything that is in front of you will always die. Like, the closer to you it is, the harder it is to actually indirect them. They will just eat that direct, it's not too small after all. And then stingers. Stingers are very interesting to talk about. Officially, this weapon is actually really bad for stingers. Because you need to hit it pot by barring pot here now. However, there is a double pot technique that you can do with the fall off of it. If you are like right at the end of the range, then you can hit one of the pots with an indirect. Then the pot below that will be hit with a direct, and that is how you are hitting 2 of them. More than 2, to my knowledge, is not possible. I'm not aware of anyone who has managed to do it. It may or may not also be possible to do double pots from close range. Like this. Aiming really high upward and getting the trick like that. However, it's also rather wasn't accurate. And especially when there are other enemies around, it may not be worth your time. However, what you can then do is the alt indirect direct combos like these. Like either on the stinger pod themselves or on the lessers in front of it, depending on what your position is and stuff. And maximize your damage that way instead. And also use bombs for stingers. Bombs help. If you're approaching, just throw a bomb to knock down 2 pods already, and might also just kill them with bombs alone. It's like barely slower than doing it with a main weapon, and you do not need to go there. Stinger's probably the biggest weakness of Sloshing Machine. Right, that should cover about lit, I should say, since this is one of the many weapons that fires arc shots. You can actually kill them from the ground without having to trigger them, if your aim is perfectly on. Well, that might take a while if you get only indirects there, because then it's not a 3-shot anymore, and numbers work out a bit poorly. I mean, actually, worst case, it's still a 5-shot, so it's available to you, and it's especially nice if you have some kind of high ground, so you're not gonna get attacked by lessers. That is that. Right then, let's talk a bit about night waves. This weapon is pretty good in some night waves. Would be rush and gorillas specifically. Rush, same thing, you're just hitting the rush with your indirects to hit as many chumps as possible. Also dealing some chip damage to Galdies. Oh yeah, just hit the stream to the side or like over them, but preferably to the side. Probably makes it easier and more. Also, of course, always watch your safety. This isn't exactly good at defending itself. It works in a similar way to a blaster, except actually kinda better, except exactly compared to Clash Blaster, because Clash Blaster is quite literally the best rush weapon. This is like the 3rd or 4th best, pretty much. At filtering chumps early, that is. Then for gorillas, similar thing. You are on small fry duty. You can hit them preemptively even as the gorilla approaches. You can just fire slashes right through that gorilla, and you're gonna hit the small fries. Running behind with it. It's pretty nice. Then after the stun as well, just shoot near the gorilla and camping them. But of course, you're also really good at helping with stuns. You can even do it from the front if your aim is really good. Yeah, if you do not have another dedicated small fry weapon in the comp, then don't bother too much with the DPS and just do fries. And much same thing, comes in small fries. Yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say about the sloshing machine. Nice and fun weapon. I'm really happy that they did the buffs to its numbers. Helped it a lot.